Wow.
Oh, man, you got him. No, that's you. That's totally you, bro. Why are you looking at me?
I was like, what just happened?
You're pointing like, it's your laptop.
I'm like, whoa. The angels are coming.
No, yes, they are. Well, okay, so 104, 100.
Wow.
I don't know, y'all. It's just so hot, just very hot. So
everything is hot.
But what's up, everyone, and welcome to Saturday. So this is like the third week in a row we've done this 5 o'clock thing. I don't think it's going to last much longer. It's just we're getting done with our work and we want to go home. So maybe it's a summer thing. We'll see how it goes. Good evening from Trinidad. Hey, how's it going? And of course, Car Gift checking in all the way from across the pond there in Portugal. And then we got 102 in Florida. Is it though? Is it? I don't know. Phoenix checking in at 116. That I can believe. Like 106 in Colorado. Now, I'm not all for this, global warming thing, but maybe there's something to it. I don't know. Maybe it's just a freak of nature, because I think that's what everyone else is equating it to. I'm not a scientist, so I don't know. So we'll just call it like that. Of course, as always, guys, get your comments queued up. Fernando will dig through them and find what's cool. Storms moving in, cooling down to 89. It was 93. Oh, so now that sounds good. We had storms today, too. It actually just got done doing its 20-minute shower in the middle of the day that we normally get. So that tells us that it's summer. What's up, boys? Have you watched The Boys on Netflix?
No.
Did you watch the first season?
No.
You didn't watch any of it?
No, I don't.
Really?
Yeah.
I watched the first season. I watched part of the second season. I think the next season is getting ready to drop.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. I kind of had to walk away from it. It's a little intense. We are already past global warming. This is now being called global boiling. But hey, Nebraska's checking in at 88, which, to be honest, 88, that's a lot. So, it's only 90 in Orlando. And that's why I'm not going to Disney, because it's just, storms in Florida. To hell, you say. LOL. Exactly. What's up, everyone? Hello, one and all. Yep. One and all.
One.
Yeah, what all? San Jose, California, 76. Feels like 88. By the way, if you hold this arrow button down, you'll have a choice to choose between degree symbols. Oh, well, there you go. So for all you guys, if you hold the arrow button down, you'll get the choice to choose a degree symbol. Not that we know. I mean, we kind of figured it out, but let's be honest. If we get people to spell words properly and maybe put a period and possibly a comma somewhere in a sentence, I think that'd be way cooler than a degree mark. But I'm not overly picky. I don't know.
You're not?
Yeah. At 5-Star Car Stereo, Audio Frog GB60 versus Focal ES or Morel Carbons. If you had to pick, okay. Listen, we all know I'm a Morel fanboy, but it's going to be between the GB60s and the Morel Carbon for sure. Those GB60s are hard to pass up. I mean, they're a very nice speaker.
Monsters.
I think it just depends on what we're trying to do, but the GB60 is pretty.
I really like those how they
pretty
sound.
Intense speaker.
They're so nice
for sure. I thought it was at 6. Typically, yes, we try to do 6 o'clock. Yes. However, for the last couple of weeks, we've been done with our work.
What do you guys think?
I don't think it's going to last, but for us, it's kind of, I know for you guys it might be an inconvenience. I apologize, but for us, it means we get to actually get home on time.
And I'm surprised how many people were waiting for the show. So it's like,
there was plenty of you that chimed right in right away. So we appreciate that. I think some of you have figured it out. I'm sure we'll have to go back to 6, and I apologize if this is inconvenient. I don't see it last. Like I said, I don't see it lasting, but I know. Hey, so we're going to start a new segment tonight, guys, and I'll give you a preview of that. Let me get to the right page on the old laptop here. One of the things that I've been thinking about doing, we used to do the cool segment that was, what did we call it?
DSP.
No, when we would do the whole thing on Monday. We do
the fundamentals?
Fundamentals, thank you. We used to do fundamentals on Monday, and it was a lot of fun. However, it just got to be the point where it was like I didn't have time to do it anymore. But I've always liked adding little snippets in. And so today we're going to add in this, which is Moscone Glidden DSP Quick Tips. Now, it isn't always going to be Moscone Glidden, but for a while it is because they're a sponsor of the show. And they just came out with the new.
They just came out with the new
one. That's a black screen of death.
No, I mean,
there's nothing going on there.
Hang on.
Hold on. What? No, you're. I got nothing.
Okay.
No, I literally have nothing from you.
Wow.
You're not even plugged.
Wow.
You're not even plugged in.
I don't even know how that happened, man.
Suck. Oh my gosh. Are you ready now?
Hang on.
Are you ready?
No, I'm not ready. They start.
So sad.
That's just bad.
Yeah, I mean, that's so sad. Are you ready now?
You should. Yes.
You ready? You ready? Are we there yet?
I mean, I'm trying.
Okay.
Hang on.
You sure?
They should be done. Yeah.
Okay, let's try this again. Yeah, no, I got it. I'm just waiting. There it is, the 2016. Wow, we're going back in time. Already ahead of its time in 2016. Now we have a piano player. Okay, that you can barely see. Ooh, race car to piano player, 2023. It's time now for a change. I wonder if she's real. She almost looks fake because she's moving so slow. Be ready for high performance. Ooh.
In your car.
And this is, guys, why I have such a hard time watching videos, because I hate cheesy stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
I like it.
I know.
It's cool. Look at that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's so neat. Got some very generic B-roll thrown in there. High-end technology. The bits and bytes are moving.
Look at that.
The new Moscone Aerospace 8 to 12. Okay, I can't take any more of it. Anyways, so we're going to be doing a segment showing you some of the cool features that are built into all of the current Moscone products, such as the DM610, the 830, and of course the new Aerospace. So we're going to have some fun, and it'll just be that. What is Oscar up to? Is this the... Yes, I have no idea.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. He's driving.
Yep, you're going to put that under my seat, Moscone Aerospace. See, I told you. Fade to black. I don't fade to nothing. Job opening.
Hey, man. I mean, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I want to spend where the two of you show us your dancing skills. I think we read that. I think, at some point you'll be able to just type in and it'll put like two characters with our face on it.
Actually pretty good.
You're pretty good. I'm not.
Yeah.
I really don't have a good answer for this. What are the pros and cons of dome mid-range versus cone mid-range? I'm back burnering this because I've had this conversation before with Casey, because as we both know, Morel has a dome mid-range and then they have a cone mid-range. And there was a reason for when they went with the new carbon elates that they went from a dome back to the cone. And I just don't know the ins and outs of it, so I'm not going to pretend like I do. So I figured I would just get it from the horse's mouth and then relay the information back to you. So it's not like I just haven't talked to them about what it is, because to me, I like the dome. I really do like the dome. I think the dome is a little smoother, but there is something about the cone that is, yeah. So I'll get that. Let's just put that one on the back burner for now, and we'll get a really good answer for that, or we'll get somebody that has a really good answer for that. We'll get them to answer that one for you. So good. All right, so let me do this. Let me pull this up here so that we can at least first sponsor of the show is going to be Moscone Glidden America. And in about 5 minutes, we'll go ahead and do the quick tip DSP. But in the meantime, Fernando, do you got some stuff I can
answer?
Yeah. Throw it up
there. There you go.
Dispersion, that's a good answer. Yep. I want to upgrade my 2022 RAM, but I don't want to add amps, just want a bit better than factory. Any suggestions? The first question would be, what factory system is in there? So for example, if it's got an Alpine system in it, this is a lot harder to do. If it's just got a basic factory, no labeled, nothing, then it's not that hard to do. So I'm going to take it from the fact that it might not be Alpine, because you might not want to update an Alpine. You might like the way it sounds. So if it's a base model, then adding, so like Kenwood makes the 6903s, which is a 3.5 with a 6x9 that fits really nice in your truck. It's a very popular upgrade that we do without doing amplifiers. just replacing the 3.5 in the dash with a better 3.5. So they make the C3 3.5 also from Kenwood, but a coaxial 3.5 from Kicker, Rockford, up in the dash will add a tweeter to the car that it doesn't have, which will typically make it sound a lot better. And then adding some form of a subwoofer in there is also a really nice move. Rockford makes the P3 110 or the P3 18, which is a very non-obtrusive install that can go in there and give you a little bit more impact to the sound. Another thing that we like to do, we just actually got done doing it at Ford, is we do a Kicker key. So we'll take and add the key 200.4 into the front stage of the system along with some new components. In this case, we would use like the 6903s just to bring some equalization, some more impact and feel to the music. Speakers don't necessarily bring more to the stage, like just adding a tweeter is obviously going to change it from sounding like this to actually having some treble, which is nice. But if you're looking for impact or anything like that, then you're going to need amplifiers and you're going to need to move something. Swedish water all the way. It's the best water ever. Just like Mexican Coke. Can I update the Kenwood DDX to be used with new Android phones? So there's always software updates that are done with them, but they're generally just software updates, meaning that if they find a glitch somewhere, they'll go back and fix it. Usually with Kenwood, if it's a glitchy thing, they try to do that right away. But most of the time it's 2 updates a year, and that's about it that we've seen. If you're adding a feature, they will never add a feature into it. So like if you buy a radio that doesn't have Android Auto, they're not going to make Android Auto all of a sudden work with that. It's a different chipset. So if you're having a phone that let's say you had Android Auto on a radio and then your new phone doesn't work, that's usually a problem with the phone, not necessarily with the radio. In which case there'll probably be an update at some point to make those two not broken again. But that's really all that happens. When things break, they'll fix them. Most of the time when things break, it's the phone's fault, not the radio. So, yeah. What do you got? Give me one more.
One more?
Yeah, I mean, I can click on something. You're taking too long. I'd have been done. All right, so domes have the advantage of giving the upper range a wider dispersion angle for an avoidance of beaming tendency in the upper frequencies. All right, there you go. There's Scott's contribution to the topic. Question: what would you recommend? 6.5-inch coaxials in a 2017 Chevy Traverse, Kenwood head unit. I don't recommend coaxials ever. So, like, if you can put a tweeter somewhere, put a tweeter somewhere, or a mid-range or something like that. So if it's got a spot, do it. Otherwise, because what happens is you get everything just down low in the door, and it's kind of no fun. Having that tweeter somewhere is really nice. Okay, what do you got? I'm just waiting. What's up from Iraq? Ordered my RTA. I ordered my iRTA2 the day, and it came out finally. Going to use it for the first time tonight. Yeah, hot damn. Just so you guys know, right now there is a big sale going on the iRTA2.
Do you have it?
I don't have it loaded up because I'm getting ready to do that, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. You get $25 off the purchase of one of those. All right, so I'm going to hide this comment. I'm going to hide this, and I'm going to bring up the new segment right now, which is the new segment is brought to you by Moscone Glade, and this is called DSP Quick Tips. This segment, we are going to dive into a very simple feature that you might not know exists, or you might have a problem. Either way, we're going to be doing this on the new Moscone software that is available to you if you have the product. Let's jump over to camera 4. This is going to be on the Pro 830. However, this will work on the 610. It will work on the new 812 Aerospace. Let me bring my little face up over here. All right, so let's picture this image right here in our heads. We ran into this the other day, which is kind of what led to this. And that was, we got done with the car, and it sounded great. It was very impactful, loved it. However, once the customer got their hands on it, he started playing some music that had a little bit more impact than what we were playing. And what happened was the mid bass were starting to be overdriven. Now, the volume was fine. It wasn't like they were not able to handle the volume. They were, but the bass that was getting passed through them because of the extra bass in the soundtrack at high volumes was causing us some issues. But it was only on select songs, and it was one of those, yeah, crank it up. Now, there's a couple things we can do to fix this. Like we can go back in and re-cue it, or we could lower the volume. Basically, everything that changes that will change the intensity of the music. And we don't want to lose that volume. However, we also, when we crank it up, don't want them to hate themselves and blow. So, what to do? Well, there is a solution for that in this software. This, first thing we need to do is come over to the left-hand side here where it says Basic Mode and click on it. Now, what you're going to see right here in this section where it said gain will quickly change to this cool little gray box. If we click on it, that is going to pull up this tab here. This is our de-equalization section, as well as pre-equalization, pre-time alignment, meaning that if one of the factory speakers has a delay, we can add the delay to the other side so they line back up. But one of the things it'll do is it'll take and add in a dynamic feature. And right here it says dynamic in EQ. We want to click on measured. What this is going to do is this is going to look at the voltage that's coming in, and as the voltage goes up, it's going to slowly implement our new feature that we've decided to add. Now, the reality is we don't want to lose any volume. We just want to lose that signal. So a high-pass crossover change is the ticket. Right now, we have them crossed over at 80, which at high volumes is getting a little too intense. So we'll come over here to the filter high volume in, and it says flat right now. Click on it and come down to where it says high pass crossover. Now, there's a couple things we can do. We can add a high pass crossover, a low pass crossover. We can add a high shelf, a low shelf. Like we might just want to do a low shelf where we just rail down the intensity. But in this case, a high pass crossover is a much simpler fix. Whatever our crossover is set to, so if we're using a 12 dB Butterworth, leave it at that. If we're using a Linkwitz 24, then we want to change this to match. And then come down to here where it says the frequency. And so if we have it at 80, we're going to switch this to 120, enter. Make sure we go right below it and we do the left speaker. So we have both speakers done. We don't want to do just one speaker, but you may want to do one speaker. You can if you like. As you can kind of see, there's a lot of neat stuff you can do with this. Match the frequency to 120. Select enter. And that is it. That is all you have to do. Now what will happen as you turn the volume up, it'll automatically change that crossover point on a sliding scale from 80 to 120 and then back down again. So at normal listening levels, you have all that luscious impact, but at high volume, it'll go ahead and protect those speakers. You can do this for anything you'd like. In this case, it's on the front channel, so that's going to stop those mid-bass from hating themselves. And this has been the quick tip from Moscone. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And that's going to be the segment. Something quick and simple and easy to do. Now, if there's a feature that you'd like to see if we can manage to squeeze out of this, don't worry, ask, and we'll try to appease your curiosity. But every week, we're going to come on and do something quick and simple so that you guys can maybe see and go, So dynamic EQ, who knew, right? All right, what do you got for me?
All right. Let's see.
Trust me, by the time we're done with this, you'll definitely want a Moscone DSP. They're pretty awesome. Click on it.
All right.
Yes, Danny, that sounds like bass. That sounds like bass roll-off, I think is what you're trying to see. And you are correct. It is, but a little bit different because bass roll-off that you're talking about and that like Acubase is trying to fix is done through a dynamic EQ or loudness. And for you guys that are interested in what the heck I just said, don't worry. Later this next week coming up, we have a whole segment that we're doing, a whole video that we're going to show you what all that is. So stay tuned. That one's really fun. That was all his idea. So All right. Is it possible to use the optical and coaxial inputs on a DM810? Trying to use a digital audio player with the coax and factory audio with the optical. Yes, it's actually doable. The DM810, I think optical comes in over 7 and 8. And so what you do is preset 1, you set up one specific way, and preset 2, you set up with feeding 7 and 8 to all your inputs. So that way when you switch between preset 1 to preset 2 is going to be your optical, preset 1 will be your coax. Watching from Qatar.
Very
nice. Bet you it's hot there. Any advice on how to get 8-gauge wire into that Rockford Fosgate 4-channel amp? Yeah, 8-gauge fits fine. I've never had
four channel amp?
Yeah, the 4-channel amp. We're talking about the little mini T's. First things, don't use a ferrule. Don't use a ferrule. For God's sakes, don't use a ferrule. Doesn't need a ferrule. What I like to do is I will strip about 3/4 of an inch off of the 8-gauge, and then I will take heat shrink and put it over the end to where I only have 1/4 of an inch of the wire sticking out. And that way, because a lot of times what happens is the sleeve gets in the way, the wire sleeving gets in the way. And when you just remove it and cover it in heat shrink, it's not there anymore. It goes in right on, tighten it up, and good to go. I think that's the secret you're looking for. It's just become something I do and don't think about it. So, but yeah, there you go. I like that one. That was a good one. Hi there. There is question. Could mix an 8-inch true mid-bass driver and a 6-inch mid-bass in the same door panel. Got a DSP so they will run active. As long as you don't have competing frequencies, yeah. So like if you're going to use your 6-inch mid-range and it's going to be from X to Y, just so that the 8-inch picks up after that. You don't want overlapping frequencies. You want to gap them at some point. There you go. Yeah. Got a Kenwood stereo, put out 5 volts, went active with Rockford Fosgate 6 3/4. The tweeter added a DSR1. Now I'm having hissing coming out of my tweeters. Yeah, it's a possibility. Yeah. Listen, the DSR1 is a great little DSP. However, it's not the greatest DSP on the planet. 5-volt coming out into the DSR1, we need to make sure those gains are low. You can also go into the DSR1 software and tell it when you're in the setup page. You can tell it what it's looking at. So, for example, you're feeding it 5 volts. Make sure you tell it it's seeing 5 volts of input. Yeah, the one time we don't have our phone plugged in. All right, hang on. Let me see something here. It's the one piece of software I always lose on my phone.
Which one?
The DSR1 software. Ah, there it is. Rockford. Perfect tune. Setup device. So system gain. So when you go into setup device on the setup device page, there's a system gain page. You're going to go into that and you can tell it what kind of voltage you have as an input. So basically you might just be having gain hiss right now. So give that a try. But yes, the DSR1 just does it. There is some floor noise in a DSR1, 100%. Not going to tell you it's not. It's a $300 DSP.
Okay, so that one is done.
Yep. Is there a crimp tool that can be used? Is there one that is that big? So what are we talking about? Like a ferrule crimp tool for 4-gauge? Yeah. There's one. There's one for 0-gauge too. We have them both. And you know where they're located. Hold on.
He said, I have a square one, but not that big.
Yeah, you're not going to. So first off, don't use a ferrule on the Rockford amps. Don't use a ferrule. It's not needed. All right. It's actually don't, because you'll strip the screw out trying to tighten it up. So don't use a ferrule. It's the way that connector works. Let it do its job. A ferrule is going to hinder its performance. But in another note, if you're looking for a bigger crimper for that, this is 2. Yeah, it's 2. If you go to D&F tool drawer, that's D&F tool drawer, and you come down over here to modern wire techniques, which is the class we're teaching at Knowledge Fest right now. If you go to this guy right here, this orange handled thing, this will do 8 gauge, 4 gauge. And then this guy right here, the blue handled one, is for 0 gauge. The 0 gauge one is going to crip it like a W. And the 4 gauge one is going to crip it into a square. But yeah, those are the ones that we use. And they're great. I can tell you right now, the 4 gauge one is super cheap. That's why we use it. Because like most of the time when you go to find like a 4 gauge crimper for ferrules, they're like hundreds of dollars for some stupid reason. That thing's only like $25. But it's really nice. Oh, man. Hi there, Jimmy. And I have a 2020 Nissan Pathfinder SL. I live down in Florida around Fort Myers. Nice. When I was waiting to get a phone number to contact to get an appointment to set up to bring it in to get. So, James, the easiest thing to do is email us your information at spell it out 5starcarstereo@gmail.com. Email us your information with an idea of what you're wanting to do, and then Paul will get back with you at some point in time. He'll probably get the information to me at some point, and eventually we'll call you and figure out what you want to do. It's much easier to do it that way than trying to call, because if he's got people standing in front of him, we're not in the retail store. We're 3 buildings down, so he can't just pass me the phone to talk to you. But that would be the easiest thing. And then we can make sure your contact information is on there and as much pertinent information. You're like, what are you kind of thinking about? All right. Newbie here. All right. I was curious. I was planning on installing a 5-channel amp, and for the fronts, I have tweeters and mids on the output of the amp. Do I tie each set to both? Okay, that is a good question, and it's definitely not necessarily a newbie question, but let's kind of break it down as for what it is, because there's a lot of different things nowadays that make things different. So you have a tweeter, you have a mid-range, all right? Now, if you bought a set, chances are good there was a passive crossover somewhere in the mix. Now, depending on the set, it could be a little box. It could just be a cap on the tweeter and a coil on the mid-range. It could be attached to both of them. Some speakers come that way. But either way, if you're going to be running a system that is going to just have 2 of the channels powering those 4 speakers, there has to be a passive crossover between them. Okay, that's a must. If the tweeter is on the inside of the car and the mid-bass is on the outside of the car, like in a door, then you're going to make sure that you mount the crossovers in a place where you can actually do both. So what we typically do in that case is we'll mount the passive crossovers inside the car somewhere, and then we'll connect the output for the mid-range up to the factory wiring that goes out to the doors and also parallel to the tweeters. But we won't use that wire. We won't use the factory wire for the tweeters. We will run our own wire from that passive crossover up to the tweeters. This way we can mount the crossovers inside and also not have to fight the door jamb trying to run wires through it. Now, a speaker that has 2 units, meaning like there's a crossover just for the mid and a crossover for the tweeter, you wouldn't have to do something like that. It makes it real easy to do that. But yes, both of the speakers will be attached to channels 1 and 2 on the amplifier. The other option, of course, is to go full active, which means you take 2 of the channels, just run the tweeters, 2 of the channels, just run the mids. But if it's a 5-channel, now you won't have anything to run the rear. So if that was part of the plan, then that might not work for you. However, that is the more common use for a 5-channel nowadays, is to use it to power the front stage only. So you put it on the front tweeter, put it on the front mid, and then the sub and the rears just do their thing off of whatever's powering them now. But yeah, it can get to be confusing. I get it. I'm using my D6 for front stage. A ARC X2 2500.1 for bass. Where should my crossovers be set on the mono amp? Typically for a bass amp, there's some frequencies that crossover points that are just really common. Like 80 hertz is a real common frequency point. That's usually where we start on the subwoofer. It's not necessarily where we're going to end, but 80 hertz is a good place to start. Anything higher than that, the subwoofers might get too ringy. Anything lower than that, and they might need to be lower than that, but lower than that, obviously you're going to shave off some of the upfront mid bass that you could be getting out of it. So 12 dB, 80 hertz. It's a good place to start. See where it takes you. Do you know of any interface to get signal out of a factory head unit in a 2015 Genesis? I saw you get a demo of the Kia Stinger. Would that be similar? No, the Stinger was newer. And the Stinger, that was a Moscone custom-made piece that they were working on that is data. No, I don't know of anything, I don't know if anybody that makes anything like that off the top of my head. iData has some interfacing available to it for Hyundai and Kia, but I don't know if it will do that. You check iData or Maestro.com, iDataLink.com or Maestro.com, and see if your car is included in any of their AR interfacing. That would be the only company I could think of. Other than that, yeah, you're going to have fun. Just as is CAN bus, right? I don't know. Either way, if iData works, it'll talk to all that. 2024 Integra with ELS system. I just talked to somebody about one of these today. After adding the JL 12-inch subwoofer and the Helix 1001 amp, can the OEM speakers be tuned, soundstage, etc.? No, you didn't do anything. It's the ELS system. The ELS system is pretty much done. So you only have an amp and a sub. If you wanted to tune the system, you would have to put an amplifier in there to power every single channel that is coming out of that amplifier. And that means like a DSP that has all those channels. So maybe an 8 to 10 or a 12, or the V12 or the V8 from Helix. Mm-hmm. And then you could tune the system however you wanted. However, it's the ELS system, so there is certain things you can and can't do easily with it. So of course you're not going to want to play with the time alignment, because that allows, the only thing you can really do is go after the system and then do some equalization, which you might want to do, but you'd have to have a channel of amplification for each channel. So you need more amps.
More power, huh?
More power. Always more power. Tapping rear deck sub with a key lock. Am I losing signal to the key lock by keeping the factory sub connected, or should I get rid of it? No, you're not losing any signal. It's not doing anything. No, not hurting it at all. We do that sometimes when the subwoofer is, let's say there's a sub in the front of the car. That sub is playing a lot of the factory mid bass. So if we disconnect it, the front is just going to sound flat and boring. So we'll still tap it. We'll leave it in the loop so that it can accomplish that, and then add our big bass to it. So no, disconnecting the factory sub isn't always the best thing to do. You do have to make sure that you get the polarity right when you use your aftermarket subwoofer, though, because you don't want them doing this, because then it'll just kill everything. 12 Raptor Kenwood 996 HR. How do I retain the factory front camera? There is no dedicated for front like there is with the rear. This is a good question. I don't actually have the answer to. I know, blown away. I thought that the camera came over the same feed and that you toggled through it somehow. However, this is an easy enough question. Don't stress out about it, but do call iData. Operators are standing by. You can call them on Monday. And I know it's doable. I just don't remember how you did it or how they did it. But yes, because I'm pretty sure it uses the same feed into the radio. I don't think there was a secondary front camera. So definitely just give them a call on Monday. The wife's looking for a big SUV with a third row and room for luggage. Any recommendations? Open to recommendations. Think it's Sequoia or Expedition? What would you think, Fernando? I'm curious.
I would do the Sequoia.
You do the Sequoia?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like the Toyota. I don't know, man. I worked on so many Fords that
it's just not. Yeah.
I mean, if those are my two choices, Sequoia. Pathfinder's kind of boring. Or the Armada or whatever the hell it's called now.
Yeah.
Nissan.
No, if I had those two, that I would
do Sequoia.
Sequoia.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. What was the product you used to speak about that I used to add Android Auto to a factory radio? Oh, you got it? That is Fernando has just queued that up right here. Let me hide your comment. So what you want to do is, let me get rid of this. It is rvdfl.com. That is rvdfl.com. And it is the streamer. So it's the streamer or the CarPlay, which would be the cheaper one, the CP8. So the CarPlay, Android Auto, mirror, that's the one right there.
Now, you always put the information on the top, right there. Model number, year, what kind of car you have, and they give you the options for your car. So.
But if you're just looking, like if your car already does Android Auto or Apple CarPlay wired, you just get the wireless unit for the one for $225, plug it in, and it does all that fun stuff. But yeah, that's what I use in my car. How do the rear speakers affect the benefit of DSP in that front stage 5-channel situation? I have a 2023 WRX. I'm considering a mild system upgrade to trying to decide if the key is the best option. All right, so it's a good question. And often people do ask that. If we're just doing DSP and EQ up front, how about the rears? What's going on? The reason why the rears are not a big deal and why they play no effect in this, because the volume for the front goes up to here and the volume from the rears way down here. So the rear essentially just becomes background noise. Like you don't even really like, oh yeah, there's speakers back there. Cool. But the front is so now dynamic and luscious and loud that the rears don't even play an issue. So when someone's sitting in the back seat, they still have sound coming from back there, but it's not going to distract you from having a nice center stage, a full up on the dash, that kind of thing. Just doesn't do it. And yeah, the kicker key is a really nice choice for that. We did that, and that was the Haley system in the Car Stereo Labs playlist.
Now, hopefully that one doesn't have the premium sound system.
Hopefully it doesn't have the premium sound system.
Because if it has, it's totally different.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. But yes, it's pretty cool. In her car and some of the other F-150 videos we've done that we have on this, you take the key 200.4, runs the tweeters, run the mid-range. Then we use the 500.1 to run off to the subwoofer, and then the rears are just factory stuff happening.
Yeah,
it's pretty nice. Restoring an 88 Jeep Wrangler.
Very nice.
Yeah,
Very
and
nice.
looking for some input. Standard receiver, coax speakers in dash and sub. Looking for a clean audio at high volumes to overcome wind, tire, V8 engine noise. That's a big demand there. Okay, a couple things. First off, do you really need a radio? I guess would be the question. Or do you need what we consider a conventional radio? So is this going to have doors on it or doors off of it? A lot of those 88s, those guys, and the older ones are dripping water on the laptop, dude. Literally dripping water on the laptop. A lot of those like that, they keep the doors off, in which case you might want to look at, like, if you don't need FM, maybe look at one of those little tiny marine controllers. There's a couple different ones that are made that are just knobs. And then you can make a custom piece to fit it where that factory radio goes, and or make a whole new dash and just put it in there. I know Audio Control has one that's pretty cool, which is the ACX BT3, which is a little tiny square thing. It has track up and down, does all these cool things. Or you also have Kenwood, if you want like a control panel, like with buttons and stuff. Kenwood makes a waterproof one that is the JVC version of it. Both Kenwood and JVC, that's the KSDRC 300 or 600 or something like that.
I mean,
it's got a little.
also making radios.
Yeah,
Marine
but
radio.
I'm just saying. I mean, I don't like the radio. If otherwise, just get a marine radio. But either way, both of those, the Kenwood is really nice because it's a 4-channel amp with a waterproof controller and it's Bluetooth. Just pair it to it, and it has equalization, which is nice too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty cool. Either way, from that point, there's a couple, like if you go to Amazon and type in like Jeep speaker pods, there's a bunch of companies that make these cool little ABS pods. Some of them go into the kicks.
Okay, what about the JBL bar? Sound bar.
It just depends on what, there again, it's 88 Jeep. It just depends on what they've done. But yes, I mean, we did that in the older Jeep, the CJ 7 or 5 or whatever it was. We just put a sound bar in there. Like they had all this goofy stuff they want to do. I was like, let's just put a kicker sound bar right here. That thing was crazy.
And that's Bluetooth.
Like, yeah, Bluetooth and everything was in it. There was no controller or nothing. It's just like we literally mounted the sound bar on top of the Jeep, and it was awesome. So there's a lot of different things you can do. And yeah, sound bar is one. I forgot about the sound bar. Good call. Why didn't you answer the question? All right, pull up the next one. Okay. We already answered this.
Yeah.
You already put this one up.
Okay. Oh, what about this one?
Oh. Hey, I got a weird problem. Install the sub and it hums really loud, but only when my car hits 2,500 RPMs. My car is old and does not have any sort of fake engine noise. What could possibly be wrong? Okay, so your car is old. So a couple things could be wrong with it. One, you could be having a bad alternator where the alternator is starting to do stupid stuff at 2,500 RPMs. Two, you could have, it's old, you may have bad spark plug wires that it's actually bleeding RF into the car. You could also have a real crappy ground plane in the car. And so when the voltage comes out, the other thing too is, does your alternator turn on at 2,500 RPMs? Because in some older cars and some current cars, when the alternator is just sitting there, it's actually not putting out any output voltage until you actually get it up to a certain speed, and then it puts out voltage. And if that's the case, that could be why you're getting the hum. So there's a couple different things. Like you figured out it's at 25, now you need to get in there with a voltmeter and kind of figure out, like, is the voltage changing? What is going on at that point? Or there could be something that's in the dash that once that voltage goes up is turning on and causing it to bleed. So ground plane, electrical system, but yeah, it's a tough one. Not premium with Starlink, but think I've found the harness. Is it best to replace the 3.5 front speaker dash speakers with tweeters, or do I match coaxial? If it's got a coaxial, match the coaxial. There again. Okay, so good question. And let me turn off the audio control for a second because I'm going to go over here to this. So I'm going to head over here to DNF tool drawer for a second. So if we go ahead and shut that down. If we go over to DNF tool drawer and we click on the IRTA2, all right, this is an electrical RTA. And what you mean by electrical RTA is that when you can take speaker wires and feed it directly into it, and you'll get you'll see the acoustic response of that output. Meaning you'll actually see what sound is passing through to that speaker. All right, and this is important. So like this picture right here is the dash output of a GMC truck. So you can see here there's a crossover in place, and then it has this funky sound coming out of here. There's some roll off in the high frequency range. If we were to replace this with just a tweeter, we would only get this little area right here, and that would it. All this other sound here would disappear. Now, if you were to look at the mid-range in this category, you would see that the mid-range kind of stops somewhere in this. So this whole big area here would be a hole. There would be no sound there. Now, of course, I'm talking about that, and you're like, wait, what? So you can obviously check out some of these videos, and a lot of these videos will just show you. I got to add some more videos to this. It will show you like what we're talking about, but the IRTA2 is specifically designed to make this easy. So you ask the question, can I put just a tweeter up there, or should I match it with the mid-range? The easy answer is to just match it with the mid-range, but it just depends on what signal is getting to that speaker as well as the other speakers. So for example, if there's just a full range signal going up to that and there's a cap on the mid-range and the door speakers getting the same. Well, no, you could do a tweeter in the mid-range if you wanted. Tweeter in the mid-bass, 6.5 component set. However, if that is getting a specific sound and the one on the bottom is also getting a specific sound, then at that point, no, you want to go like for like, because that could get to be bad. You'd lose out on a lot of sound, and that would be no fun. Now, as we said earlier at the beginning of the show, we are having a sale right now on the IRTA 2s. So if you're interested in picking yourself up one of these to have the coolest tool in the installation, you can save $25 right now. The biggest savings we've done, that's dnftooldrawer.com. Type in the coupon code XMIS. That's XMIS, and you can be that guy that can go, I can see the electrical signal in that wire and tell you exactly what it is doing.
Be that guy.
Be that guy. Be that guy. Okay.
All right.
Sorry. I just spent $1,800 on ARC X2 amps. Top ramen for dinner all month. Good idea. Good idea. Is it worth it to invest in the RTA mic to tune my EQ and my Dayton 4.8 DSP, or should I just get a shop to do it? What do you think? Okay. This is one of those funky questions that Fernando likes to put up because he knows, like, he's sitting over there smug and he's laughing on the inside because he knows how I feel about the Dayton 408 DSP.
No, we're not talking about Dayton DSP. We talk about the microphone. It is worth it to buy a microphone.
If it's worth it to buy a microphone, yeah, but it's not worth it for that DSP. I mean, if you just want to, like that, I don't like that DSP. It's noisy.
No, but like, forget about the DSP. The DSP. It's just like,
should you buy a microphone and learn how to tune yourself? Yes.
Perfect.
If that's the question, 100% do that. Pick yourself up a mic and learn to tune. They have their mic. If you have an iPad of any kind, USB or Lightning, you can get the U-Test mic from Audio Control. You can pick it up on Amazon. It's called the U-Test mic. It's got a USB-C on the end of it. It's got like a 10-foot cord. It's an awesome tunable mic. I think it's like $129. But they also make that little $19 one that plugs in the phone that comes in a little tin. I have one of those too. The problem is that most phones don't have aux, so you're going to have to get an aux to Lightning or aux to USB-C adapter, and that's where the problem comes in, because if you don't get a good aux to USB-C adapter, it's going to cause problems because not all of those are created equal. We've actually done a ton of testing on that because of our device, and if you have an iPhone, you have to get the Apple version of that only because they don't have the crappy DSP chip in it that actively screws up the sound. So that's that.
All right.
Should I do time alignment if I got SQL system? Is it worth it? Yes. Yes. Well, let me ask you this. Fernando.
Yes.
If you hop into a car,
yeah,
okay, whatever it is, it's got 10 tons of bass.
Yeah.
Okay. And you say SQL, so that means it probably doesn't have 10 mid-range in the doors because that would just be loud. So it's probably got a reasonable amount of stereo. It's just really loud.
It's really loud.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and all the sound is coming from the passenger or the driver's front A-pillar.
Everywhere, yeah.
Okay. But it's just loud. It's coming from here.
Uh-huh.
You know, and you get instruments all around you, but the guy's singing from over here.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound fun? Because, I mean, we've heard some pretty loud cars.
Yeah.
You know, whereas if you time align that, then he'll at least be coming somewhere off the dash.
Yes.
And sounding good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no. I mean, you know, for me, I feel that time alignment is not for everyone. I have plenty of people that they're like, oh no, man.
You don't need this tiny little ball in the center of the dash, but having the sound up here as opposed to over here in the corner.
Yeah.
Is really nice.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, if you have the ability to have time alignment or you already have it, play with it. If you don't like it, just turn it off and, you know, back to the normal. But yeah, I would try it. All right, got one more.
I call poo-poo on this one because we had it both ways and it was noisy.
DSP.
Yeah, it was noisy no matter what we did. Yeah. I mean, listen, I've given 2 or 3 of them away at this point just because like people are, oh, you hurt my feelings. So I yeah, but no, there's so much better stuff you can get for like $100 more, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, but you have it now. You have the ability to do something like that. You know, you can upgrade it.
Fang is being funny. I align time between the car clock and the radio clock in my iPhone. You know, I gotta be honest with you. I'm pretty sure there's some people that think that same thing, and I apologize for anybody that does. When we're talking about time alignment, we're just talking about correcting, using delay to try to correct for speaker placement in a car. DSP sucks. End of story. I'm not going to argue that point. I mean, I get it. I just, you know, it's yeah. If you're using the DSR1 with the factory head unit, 2023 Dodge Ram, how do you set high to low switch? That's set to low level. It should tell you in the software, but it will be low level because it's reprogramming the radio for the low level application. So yeah, it's gonna be low level. Make sure when you're programming it though, you do some of the cool features like make subwoofer level out of the bass tone control. That's a fun one.
There you go. This is you, man.
This is me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi guys, have you ever installed or have any experience with TI head units? Are these good, or can you recommend one that would be good to install in a 2011 Mustang? Thanks. So, all right. Oh, you suck, Fernando. So here's the thing. They look fabulous, okay? They look great. And it's like, wow. It's kind of like seeing something that looks like ice cream and realizing it's Crisco and going, oh, that's not real ice cream. That sucks. They're not made to sound good. Okay, so if you're going to try to do something that sounds good, that's not it. All right. The branded radios are branded and have cost for a reason. Because they're trying to make things sound good. They have a preamp section, or they have something equivalent to a preamp section. Either way, when you get one of these radios, they are cheap. And even if they're expensive, they're still cheaply built, and the functionality is not on point with even the most basic of basic Pioneer radios, or Kenwood radios, or Sony radios, or any branded radio. They're not. They're just not. We recently ran into a problem where a customer had a specific car and they wanted to upgrade their audio system, but they had went out and bought a third-party screen, all right, because it had Bluetooth, it had CarPlay, it looked really sexy, it plugged into the factory radio, and they're like, we want to amplify this. I said, no problem. Let's take a look at it. So we went in the back to the amplifier that was going to get bypassed to see the signal that was coming back there. And, you know, the one time we don't plug in the phone thing. It's so weird.
Yeah. I mean, we
never use it except for today. We could have used it. So, hang on. I need to show you this because this is to make my point instead of just saying something is crap, because that never worked for you guys and it doesn't work for me.
All right, let me remove this. Okay, so what we did is we looked at the output of this one. Okay. We looked at the output of no,
we're good.
No, I just want to remove that one.
That's fine. That's fine.
There you go.
We looked at the output of the signal from that cheap radio. Okay, so we played pink noise. A pink noise should look like that. Okay, it should be. This one has bass roll off that you can see happening there on the top of your screen.
No, you cannot flip it like that. Just there you go. There. No, the bottom. That one.
That one.
There you go.
Yeah.
No, you have. There you go.
Okay.
The other one. There you go.
Okay. All right, so it should look something like this. And what this was the CD player. So we actually put a CD into it. And we got this output. Now this output we can amplify because we can correct for that bass crossover that's in there. But this one, we can't do shit. We can't do anything to fix this or make this sound any better. This is going to sound like garbage. There is no highs there. There is no lows there. It's just a bunch of mid-range. And Fernando's like, well, can't we bring any of that back? And I said, look at the scale. So if you look at the scale on there, that top is the top there is 15 and the bottom is 40. So just some quick math in my head, that's 25 dBs of loss between the high point and the low point, and there is nothing there at 40 or 50 hertz. The best the DSP can usually do is bring back 12 dBs of loss. That's 25 dBs of loss. You're pretty much SOL. Okay, so when looking at these cheaper radios and stuff like that, these are the problems that we can't fix. So when someone asks that, which we get a lot of them, and they're like, oh, you're just saying it's cheap crap. It is, but that's not the only problem. Now, if all we're looking for is convenience features and stuff like that, go for it. It looks cool, it's fun, put it in the dash, add a backup camera, you're good. But if you're actually wanting to listen to music with it, don't. Yeah, so get into like a Pioneer, Kenwood, or anything like that. So they'll all go into that dash. It's an old enough car. You can get dash kits, all kinds of fun stuff. And they'll sound good. All right. Thank you for playing along. Fang coming in. It's been a great show as always. Have a great day off with the family, friends. 5 minutes left. All right, so let's try to machine gun some questions. What do you got for me?
I was trying to find, well, somebody says about this one. There you go.
2014 Ford Escape, factory radio, LC7i, Rockford T, 1500s, sound digital 404s, mids and highs. Turn off pop, only on mids and highs. Any help? It's probably going to be you have the gain on the 404, too much signal coming into it, and you're getting turn off pop from the sound digital. Sound digital, that particular amplifier, that is a volume knob, not a gain. So if you're getting, like, it's not made to take like 4 or 5 volts of input, you will get turn off pop if you put too much signal into it. Metro makes a piece called a trigger. It's just spelled out Tigger, trigger. And what you might need to do is take that off of the remote turn on output of the LC7 and put it on its own piece, and or so that it stays on faster, or switch it so that the LC7i stays on longer and that amp shuts off faster so that that's going down. That may or may not fix it. How you can test to see if that would work is disconnect the remote turn-ons and just have little wires there that you can hook up to the constant 12 volts. And try it like once with it staying on longer by holding it to the thing and see if you get the pop, or have it turn off the LC7i. But if it never stops and it doesn't matter what you do, you need to turn the gains down a lot, very lot.
Is this one?
No, it's called the trigger. It's literally just a trigger. It's okay. I spelled it out. He's got it, man.
There you go.
He's got it. It's all good. Oh, okay. There it is. All right, so you found it? Yep, there's the trigger. It's just a little box. Not that exciting.
No, but this is the model number right there.
Trigger. Yep, still Tigger. Just like it's a trigger.
I would change the radio in your car, man.
We always need more gain on amps. Turn the gain up all the way. Turn the gain up. All right, so what are we telling
All right, so explain me why.
Please tell Amp Global that we need a generic harness for CAN Pro interface. Okay, we'll do it, Eduardo.
So
I'll give you Nathan's number. You can call him right up yourself. Yeah. Let me know how far you get with that. What do you want me to tell you?
The amplifiers, right?
What amplifiers?
They make the gain.
Yeah. To make a knob.
For some reason, it goes all the way to the right.
Yeah.
Why?
What do you mean? Why do they put a knob in there to adjust it?
Yeah.
Well,
okay. If you're like, no. Look.
Well, okay, so there has to be, not all radios have 5 volts of output. Not all source units have 5 volts of output.
But what I'm saying is, like, why not just leave it a halfway?
Well, because there has to be an adjustment somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, there has
from 0 to half, now the way,
Well, yeah, but let's say I'm running an old school radio that only has a half a volt of output. I'm going to have to crank it up.
Half a volt?
Yeah, there are those radios that are cheap like that have a half a volt of output. Really? Hell, that white box radio would probably have a half volt of output.
I know they have to.
No, they don't. No, they do not. I'm sure we have some of those single DIN radios over there, half a volt. it's so I mean you got to be able to handle that, man.
Well, I don't know, man.
Sorry, Baba.
We should make an amplifier.
We should, if we do this early next week, we'll just text Baba and let him know.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just hey, we're on.
I don't know if people like the early show.
It is what it is. Hey guys, listen, that's the show for us. Thank you so much for tuning in and playing along with us this week. We hope you like the new segment that we have, the DSP segment. Also, don't forget, if you want to get yourself the IRTA2, use the coupon code Christmas, or Xmas, I should say, at DNF Tool Drawer. I'd like to thank our show sponsors this week is Audio Control at audiocontrol.com. Go ahead and check out the new PMW speakers. Christian just got his in, and he's already screwing things up, so that's what he does. He's over there going, oh my God, these tweezers are so amazing. The Audio Control kicked it out of the park. They're just doing so cool.
I just got a notification. Look at that.
What is it telling me? I can't read.
Why it's so hot?
Oh, okay. Also, we'd like to thank Moscone Gladen and also Moscone, the new DSP quick tips. Hope you guys enjoyed that.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Guys.
It's Saturday night. You know what that means. It's tonight everyone goes out and does dumb stuff. So make sure if you're going to do something stupid, don't be too stupid. Call a friend, call an Uber, call Lyft, get home safe because, hey, we're going to be back here Monday doing it again, talking about new stuff and just whatever. You know, Mary Lou had a question and she was supposed to tune in. I bet you she's going to tune in.
She said hello, but that's it.
Yeah. So
what was the question?
You totally skipped her question.
Probably.
We ain't got time for it.
Probably.
Either way, thank you guys so much. You have a wonderful day, and we will see you back here again next week.